Great.
Good morning, everybody. So welcome to something new in Acumatica in Asia. So the webinar today will be a little bit different to what you might be used to, as we normally mainly do like classic product presentations. So we decided together with our partner Bimser International, and Kevin can introduce himself after this. Maybe if you don't know him yet, we decided to do something different today. So we chose a use case and want to show how Acumatica, together with the ISV solution from Bimser International, can support our customers in Asia, mainly with topics related to quality control that are related to ISO certification. So it's much more a business case today from a presentation perspective than just a normal product presentation, how we do this in the past. So I'm quite excited about it. So, and with this, I think we just go ahead, and before we see some of the flow later, Kevin would like to start in giving us a little bit more background about this. So please go ahead, Kevin.
Thank you, Torsten. Thank you, much appreciated. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I hear you very well. It's good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for introductions. My name is Kevin Devecioğlu, and I'm the Managing Director of Bimser International. We are based in New York. Today, I am joining this webinar with my colleague, Sam Watt. He's our pre-sales software engineer, and we'll be talking about how to comply with quality and management standards in a digital environment while interacting with Acumatica. So we put together pretty exciting, and just like Torsten mentioned, pretty informative content for this webinar. I'd like to start with introducing our company, who we are and what we do, and then I'll jump to some of the fundamentals of quality management. As in this competitive marketplace, no matter where we are, in Asia, in North America, or other parts of the world, quality management standards are getting more and more important. Customers are demanding, and they ask quality management standards to be complied by companies in different industries. Therefore, we believe that these informative webinars will be very, very helpful for everybody attending this webinar. So let's talk about our company. Our company is Bimser International, and we are an enterprise software maker since 1998. We are based in New York, and we have a global presence. As a company, we believe in digital transformation and simplicity, and we help companies digitally transform themselves, no matter where they are in the world. Also, we have very close ties with Acumatica and Acumatica ecosystem. We'll be also sponsoring Acumatica Asia Partner Conference in coming days, which is almost here. That we are very excited about it. Also, we've been also partnering and sponsoring Acumatica's other activities in North America as well, such as the Acumatica Summit that took place in Houston last year. We were one of the sponsors as well. So we have a very good relationship with Acumatica, also Acumatica partners, vendors, as well as Acumatica ecosystem that we are very happy about it, and I like to just share with you here. Also, we are very close to, as Bimser International, very close to the universities, and we have a pretty good internship program for university students in North America. It's becoming more and more popular, especially for pre-sales engineering. Okay, so let's talk about Bimser a little bit. We have a global presence, as I mentioned. We are also active in Europe as a company. We have been very active in various verticals with our products. Speaking of quality management standards, we are also ISO 9001 certified, as well as ISO 271 certified. And starting 2008, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development became one of our investors. So with their help and support, we are growing, and we have more visibility in international markets. Since 1998, we have been developing these 4 products. EBA is our enterprise content management platform. BEAM is our asset and maintenance management system, which is also a Acumatica certified solution. QDMS is our quality risk audit and compliance management system. That is also Acumatica certified, and we'll be talking about it today in more detail in coming minutes. We have Ensemble as a business process management solution. And last month, our contract management solution for Acumatica also got certified. And we are also very excited about it as well. Here you can see how we position our products. So especially for QDMS, BEAM, and EBA, these three products for business process automation, as well as asset and maintenance management and quality management, they are designed to automate processes. They run standalone, and they are also ready to link other systems. Our products work on cloud as well as on-premise servers, and we have mobile apps available. So we have up-to-date technology as to our products. Since 1998, we have delivered many different projects. These numbers show how many deployments we have done. Also, it shows more or less how many clients we have globally. So when we look at our products, QDMS is the highest number. It's for quality management, followed by EBA for business process automation with the workflow engine, and BEAM for asset and maintenance management. We have a lot of references, very well-known companies. 3M is one of our customers. We are working with Bridgestone, for example. We are working with Garava Chocolate, Ford, Hyundai are some of our customers. Also, if you look at our some of our customers, they are also coming from very, very different industries. Unilever is one of our customers, for example. United Nations using one of our products for refugee tracking, for example. And Starbucks is also one of our references. So we are proud of these references, and we believe that it's also adding value to our ecosystem as well as Acumatica ecosystem as well when we look at it. We are also active in aerospace and aviation industry because these are heavily regulated industries, aerospace and aviation. So therefore, many companies in aerospace and aviation industry, they appreciate the fact that QDMS can help them comply in a digital environment with no paper. Another heavily regulated industry is healthcare and medical equipment industry. We have also many different verticals in those industries as well. Healthcare, medical device manufacturing, as well as pharma, I must say. So we are pretty experienced in that as well. Okay, great. So that's in short who we are and what we do. So let's talk about digital transformation of quality management. For example, ISO 9001 is a pretty good example as to digitizing quality management standards. When we look at quality management standards, the first question comes to mind is, why do you comply with quality and management standards? Why do you comply with ISO, for example, or why do you comply with, say, SQF or BRC in food industry or FDA in pharma industry, for example? Well, first of all, customers they are requiring it. As I mentioned earlier, customers are getting more and more demanding because quality management standards means you have policies and procedures and systems in place at your company, and when you deliver services and goods, you deliver with a certain standard or every time when you deliver. That's what it means. So customers would like to see it, and they like to make sure you have those quality management standards are in place. Also, quality management standards can open new markets for you. That's another reason that you may want to comply with quality management standard. You can improve your operations as well as you can position your company for growth and also for increased market share as well. When we are complying with various quality and management standards, there are some challenges. One of them, for example, happens to be having too many paperwork, as well as maintaining documentation may be challenging. Keeping policies and procedures in place and keeping them updated, having revisions also may be challenging while you are busy doing your work, and at the same time you try so hard to maintain your documentation may be challenging. And during that busy work time that you have, sometimes you may lose sight of those standards and their purposes, basically. So let's keep it in mind. When we have these standards in place, either ISO or let's say AS9100 for aerospace industry, or say SQF or BRC for food industry, they have a certain philosophy. Any quality management standard actually encourage your company to have continuous improvement. So for us to get continuous improvement, we need to get feedback, and the feedback the best feedback can come from actually your customers. You can engage with your customers. You can actually conduct surveys. You can have face-to-face meetings with them. You can have conversations with them. Also, you can have feedback from your team members internally. So when you get this feedback, and when you actually take your time and think about it, there is always room for improvement. So by the fact that quality management standards encourage you to have continuous improvement, these feedbacks are very, very important. Therefore, they help you actually have a continuous improvement culture in your company. So having these challenges, a lot of paperwork sometimes, and it's hard to manage it sometimes, we have a solution for it. The solution is digital age. Thanks to digital age, now we have software products. We have also right now electronic tools that we can actually manage the documentation digitally without any paper. And we can have updates pretty simply. And we can have audits also digitally. We can even have audits pretty often. It can be every day, it can be every week, it can be every month, and digitally it becomes much easier. And thanks to digital systems, it also reduces the burden for maintaining any documentation or any other policies and procedures that you need to be keeping and managing as part of compliance that you may be following. So when we look at QDMS, for example, QDMS is a quality risk audit and compliance management system, and it actually runs standalone. Also, it's integrated with Acumatica, and it's also ready to run with any IoT, any manufacturing execution, or any CRM system, for example. So it's state-of-the-art. It has state-of-the-art technology, and with these integrated environment, you can actually run your operations in accordance with your quality management system. So the typical one is ISO 9001, for example. And if one of your, for example, procedures or standard operating procedures is to make sure your machinery actually maintained, and if you have a preventive maintenance and predictive maintenance policies and procedures in place, with the help of IoT devices, QDMS can help you run these policies and procedures digitally without any paper. When we look at quality management as a whole, we have three sections that we need to keep it in mind. One is quality assurance, other one is quality control, and the third one is predictive quality. Quality assurance is the system that you are following as to ISO or AS9100 for, say, aerospace industry, SQF and BRC for food industry, for example. So that is the system that you follow. And quality control is, these are inspections and control points that you position in your company when you are receiving any product, when you are making any purchasing, when you are making any manufacturing, and after manufacturing, typically. These quality control processes are in place. And most of the time, quality assurance system dictates quality control, how to run. So these quality assurance and quality control, actually, they are interacting with each other. And today, we'll be also showing you how they run together in association with Acumatica, and we'll show you some real world examples as well. So as to predictive quality, it is actually touching IoT technology, Internet of Things. So thanks to smart sensors nowadays, we can remotely monitor machinery, equipment, and we can remotely monitor the temperature, humidity, vibration, smoke, light, and other vitals that you like to follow, you like to monitor in your company. And that's also part of quality, and we call it predictive quality. So this is basically how we look at quality management as a whole in this digital age. And when you look at this, regardless of what you comply, let's say you are complying with ISO 9001, or let's say you're complying with ISO 14000 for environment standards, or 13485 for medical device standards for ISO. This model actually valid for every single quality management system as a whole. So this is actually good to know, and I wanted to share with you because we like this webinar to be informative and educational. So it's important to share this information with you before we go into any other technical details. So thanks to digital age, most of the problems and challenges that we have been hearing from customers, especially complying on paper, is not an issue anymore. Thanks to digital age, now we can do many things in a digital environment. Even the audits, inspections can be run in a digital environment with no paper, which is a great advantage for any company. So what kind of standards are there? What kind of quality and management standards are there in the marketplace? There are many. There are many standards in the world. And when we break it down a little bit vertical by vertical, the heavily regulated industries are, I will say, aviation, aerospace, healthcare, medical device and medical material industry, pharma industry, as well as food industry. These are heavily regulated industries. So the more regulated the industry is, the more standards are needed for any industry. That means there is more need for a quality management software to run things digitally. So when we look at aviation industry, typically they are complying with AS 9100 or ISO 9001. Typically, that's what they have been seeing in the marketplace. For automotive industry, they have their own ISO, IATF 16949 is the quality management standard for automotive industry that companies in automotive industry needs to follow. As to construction industry, we see a lot of ISO 9001 compliance as well as ISO 17025 compliance, which is to be the calibration management related ISO standard. When we look at healthcare, there is ISO 9001 as well as EU and FDA and HIPAA standards, as well as other local or regional standards that we have been seeing for healthcare. Manufacturing industry, as to managing quality management standards, we see a lot of ISO 9001, ISO 14000 for environment and safety management, as well as ISO 50,000 for energy management. The medical device industry is also heavily regulated. They have a lot of regulations, starting with ISO 13485, that's the medical device manufacturing standards for ISO as to quality management. Also followed by ISO 9001, we see a lot of it. Also, if you manufacture any medical device or medical material, for example, if you are selling to EU, for example, they are asking you to comply with EU MDR. Also, if you are selling to, for example, United States, they are asking you to comply with MD-SAP, MD-SEP, for example. That's another standard. So there are a lot of regulations as the medical device. Same thing with the pharmaceutical. There are different standards that companies need to follow. So the more regulations there are, the more there is more need for a software to digitize these quality management standards. When we look at quality management standards, one of them that we like to talk about is called QDMS, just like Torsten mentioned earlier. So QDMS is a quality risk audit and compliance management system that's ready to run digitally and interacting with Acumatica. And this system is basically designed to help companies comply with many different standards, either that's GMP for good manufacturing practices, or SQA for DRC or ISO. You can comply many different standards in a digital environment with no paper. System is web-based, meaning regardless of that's on cloud or that's on an on-premise server, for example, you can access the system wherever you are. So that's a great advantage for companies. It works on cloud and on-premise, as I mentioned earlier, so that gives you the opportunity to choose which one you like to run. And it has a modular structure, meaning you can pick and choose what you like to have as to modules of QDMS. So in any quality management standard, the backbone of the standard is actually policies and procedures. So systems dictate that you need to write down how you are doing your job, how you are doing production, how you are doing sales, how you are doing purchasing, step by step, so that this documentation needs to stay there, and it shows that you have certain policies and procedures for the functions of your company. And if there is any change, any revisions on it, you need to also document it as well. So the document management, quality document management operations are very, very important for any quality management department of any company. Therefore, there is a control document management module available in the system. I mentioned about feedback, how important the feedback is for continuous improvement for ISO 9001, for example. So the feedback can come from customer, can come from our team members, and can come from simply by observation, when we have engagements or when we just observe the customers and other interactions, for example. So customer complaint or customer feedback module is very important to get the feedback and to take action for continuous improvement in our processes. And when we are running our operations, we may want to do also audits internally before we get any official auditor, for example, from ISO for certification purposes. We like to make sure we are actually running the system as how we design. So the way to make sure is to run audits simply. Now, so typical practice in the market is doing cross audits. So let's say I'm working for production department. I may be assigned to do the internal audit into sales department, for example, or purchasing department. So this kind of cross-functioning, cross audits can be very helpful for continuous improvement. So with the help of this audit management module, you can actually document these audit functions in your company. And when the auditor comes, you can actually prove that you have been running your audits and you are taking actions for continuous improvement. Surveys are pretty important as to get feedback, as well as trainings are very important. Also, as to manufacturing, there is a calibration module available. So machinery and equipment, they need to be adjusted from time to time. That may be monthly, that may be quarterly. So you can manage the calibration operations in the calibration module. Starting with ISO 9001 2018 edition, risk management became mandatory, meaning every single company needs to make the risk management assessments available in the company and take actions and planning for various risks. So there are different risk management modules available in QDMS. So in addition to quality management system, there are also standard operating procedures and quality control processes, as I mentioned earlier. So we also put together certain solutions to complement Acumatica for companies to run SOPs and quality control operations in a digital environment. So based on our observation, at any company, the more paper-generated activities are actually either quality control operations or standard operating procedures, basically based on forms that you fill up on daily basis. There may be a quality control form. There may be a certain, say, if you are, for example, food company, there may be about hygiene management. There may be about, let's say, shipping and other operations that you fill certain forms for management purposes. So you can run these operations also digitally. Okay, great. So this is basically on the high level my presentation. So I mentioned I present our company, Bimser International, and we talk about quality management systems as a whole, quality assurance, quality control, as well as predictive quality. And I also shared some background information as to QDMS, our quality risk audit and compliance management system. Now I'd like to hand it over to Christine, and he'll be showing us Acumatica's manufacturing functionalities before we jump into quality management demonstration, if I'm correct.
Yep. Right. Just to make sure, can everybody hear me?
Yes, I hear you fine.
All right. Good. I'm sharing my screen now. And one more time, can you see my screen?
Yes, I see it.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes, I can see your screen.
okay. Okay. Thank you, everyone. My name is Christian from Acumatica. The reason why I'm going to show production manufacturing modules in Acumatica is this is one example or area where QDMS is a very complement features that we always need when we run manufacturing business. So I'm going to show one example specifically in electronic component manufacturing process that I'm going to start from having an inquiry from a client, from a customer, and entering through a sales order and running through production order. And we also see MRP, how it can pick up what's required, what's component required by that production order, and run through some production report from entering what component has been consumed, the time that employee has spent in doing the operation of that production order, and finally coming through the completion of each operation and finally the production order itself. Okay, as an example, the inquiry from a client that asking us to send them or sell them the component called PCB. Let's use a generic example, the basic one, and say they are asking for 40 each of those at $200. Okay, and in this example, this is make to order, which means the production order has to be tied to this production because it's unique and specific for this client order. The specification, the detail, the instruction is specific for this client. So we have to be able to tie between production order and the sales order. And once we complete the production order, it has to be linked back or allocated back to the sales order. But of course, in the environment of not make to order, meaning that product that you are going to sell is generic, can be shared across other orders. You can process production order by MRP that will be able to identify what's required from multiple sales order and production order. Okay, so in this example, we want to make a production order that is tied to the sales order. So we now see production order number 32. Okay, and we can see back the reference to the sales order itself, the number of sales order, the type of sales order, and the customer name. Okay, and we can now see the production ticket, which we usually print and distribute to the floor for them to perform the production. So as a basic ticket or production traveler, if you want to call it, or production sheet, we can see the detail of the production itself. We know what needs to be produced, at what quantity, and we also know who the customer is. That is also printed in the production ticket, as well as what process involved. Okay, starting from basic assembly or initial assembly, and sending that through final assembly. And in doing so, we can also include more specific instruction in how they do the assembly process, and the same thing with final assembly. Okay, so you can place an instruction, work instruction on in doing this production, so they know what specific process and steps they need to go through when they do the production. So this is area where Acumatica provide step of production in a very basic way, which you can see here. It's just part of the bills of material as a steps, and QDMS, especially the function that provides a specific work instruction, will be able to provide you with a proper function and documentation in how a process needs to be conducted within shop floor. Okay, and so what's next? We normally plan everything through MRP for us, that helps us to identify, okay, for all the demands coming from sales order, or maybe through a safety stock that we have defined on our inventory, and also production order that we have created prior. MRP help us to identify, okay, this is what is missing, we don't have enough in stock, and this is what you need to buy or we need to manufacture. So if we focus on the production order that we have just now, okay, I don't remember the production order. If I go back to my production order screen to see specific item that is in this production order, okay, number 32, let's see if we miss something. Okay, so it says, right, this is resistor that is component of on this production order, okay, and it shows us this is a material for a production, and we need to buy by 20th of March because it's required by 25th of March. Okay, and you know, guys, that this is based on the lead time that is the lead time of this vendor when it delivers the component to our factory. So it says it takes 5 days to buy. So it's been adjusted for us to know when we need to start buying these components. But anyway, let me buy it now. Okay, it picks up the default vendor already at this quantity. So we create a purchase order number 1028. Okay, so we jump now into the purchase order screen to receive that component that we buy through PO number 1028. Okay, we check everything is good, the quantity, the cost, and now we open the document, going through approval steps, and let's just go ahead and receive the component. Okay, we received according to the quantity, which is good. They haven't come with the invoice, so we can postpone the bill creation for now and release. Okay, so as you can see, this is a very standard process within receiving process, and what Bimser is going to complement in this area is checking the compliance and the QA when receiving components from a supplier, okay, which we will be able to see later on in this session. So we receive at exact same quantity required for production, and now if we go back to the production, we are ready to release the production and send it to the floor. Okay, so as you know, we release the production, ready to go, and now they start issuing what component has been used. Okay, so in this example, these are 2 components required, 40 of these, 160 of these, and we have plenty in stock. Okay, good, and select those 2 components, and I'm just assuming now that the quantities used is exactly the same. So let's just go ahead and release. And next step, perhaps we report the labor time, or employee timesheet when they do the production. So as normal, as you know, we report what production order it is, in what operation that these employees spend their time on, okay, and in what shifts they have worked, and you can enter the start and end time, which system calculates automatically the time they spend. But I can also go ahead and specify, all right, I've spent for about 10 hours to do this job, and release. Okay, this is one area where we can confirm or validate or report back against the production order we are doing. And then finally, the move. The move is a process for user to update the progress or the completion of each step and the production order itself. So I'm now saying that, right, operation 10, which is the initial assembly, I've now finished 40 and release. Okay, so I can update individual operations so we can understand where the production is up to in the shop floor. Okay, but you can also go straight to the last operation, which will then automatically update or complete the production order. So this is 40. I complete the 40, and the system is set to automatically generate serial number because this component is serialized. But I can also generate prior to system picks up that automatically and check everything is okay. Nothing I can override. All looks good. Let system just accept what system have generated for us. And at the same time, I also add one attribute for me to enter a very basic, simple test that I conduct during the production for this PCB, which is burn-in testing. Okay, just one example, but we know that in this particular product there are multiple type of process or check needs to be conducted to pass that through the finished goods. So just an example that we do a burn-in testing, and user just need to indicate whether the burn-in testing is passed or failed. All right, and so this is an area where we need a more comprehensive functionality when it comes to quality check within production process. The one that I show you is a very basic one that we have link the attributes that within Acumatica to production process that that enable us to capture whatever information we want to capture. But it's a very basic one, nothing fancy, not more than this. So we hope that QDMS can give us more fancy, more sophisticated process in a way we handle the QC process within production. So release everything. We get now 40 each in stock. And if you go back to the sales order that we originally created for the customer, we can now see that all those 40 serial number has been allocated back to the sales order. So we can see now individual serial has been allocated back to the sales order, and this is to be delivered for this specific sales order and the customer. So that's make to order process that we have now within Acumatica production. Okay, so that's everything that I would like to show, that shows you the basic process when it comes to make to order, that we start from sales order, production order, updating production order, giving or reporting materials, labor time, as well as the production process, and also entering what has been conducted. And then finally we see that the product that is completed from production is now linked or allocated back to the sales order. Okay, so next presentation I will hand this over to Bimser again to specifically talk about the QDMS role in this entire production environment.
Yes, Sam will take it over from here. Sam, whenever you're ready, you can share your screen.
Can you stop sharing your screen, Christian?
Okay, I have to do that, yeah? Right, sorry.
Thank you. And then Sam, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So let me share my screen. Okay.
Yeah, we
and okay, nice. That's my question. Okay, and can you hear me well? Like, how is my voice
Very good.
quality?
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Okay, nice. Okay, and this is Sam at Bimser International. So now I want to show you is EBA, our business automation platform, in terms of the QC activities. So right here, you can see we have a solution on our platform, which is EBA Acumatica quality control solution. And in this application, so you can find right here, we have a purchase order quality control. So considering we have our PO and receive certain items, and then we can carry out the quality control activities with using EBA. And you'll be allowed to enter the inspection result, and based on the result, you can carry out certain quality assurance activities in QDMS, which is our quality risk and compliance management system. And I will show you in minutes. So first of all, we come to here, the purchase order quality control form. So once you log in, you can choose the purchase order, which is coming from Acumatica. So you will see a list of the purchase order as same as the purchase order number that's in Acumatica. So let me show you right here. These are my purchase order in Acumatica, saying I have the one like 1034. Okay, and coming back to EBA. And you can find the exact same purchase order in this list. So let's say I will choose 1034 with the vendor name Bank America. Okay, and you can find it on Acumatica as well, the same vendor name. Okay, and then I will choose this one. And once you choose the purchase order, and all the item information will be filled automatically and show you the items of this purchase order in this purchase order line session. And also for the quality control form, you can design a unique workflow for this quality control activities based on the hierarchy of your company or the process that you have in your company. So in this example, that it will be sent to the purchase manager, and then it will be sent to the lab. Right here, you can see the laboratory QC sub-process, okay? And what this means is, let me show you right here, is once you fill in the form or setting up the expiration date, so saying, considering like some of the items, it will expire, or for example, like the items for chemical industry, okay? And then you can set up the expiration date, and EBA will send you a reminder on our EBA platform and also in your email inbox. Okay, so we can set up the reminder and saying a week before, then we can submit this control form. And now the form has been sent and waiting for approval or review by Jeanette, so that I would simply approve it and log in as Jeanette. And after the reviewing the form, and then this process will be sent to the lab, and the technician in the laboratory can carry out certain inspection and punch in the result of the inspection. Okay. So, okay, and now I can get to the login as the inspector or the technician in for this form. Okay, and let me check. Okay, all right, and every time you can find out the history of your process. Okay. So this is one of the way to help you to understand which step it is at of your process that you have sent. Okay. All right, and then simply the technician can enter the inspection result of the items. For example, like this. I'm going to do like this one. Okay, and okay, this is the one. I'm going to show you how it's look like for the inspection result. Okay, excuse me. It's right here. Okay. All right. And EBA will automatically highlight the result. It is out of the reference range. Okay, and I'm going to log in as ready. There we go. So after the technicians enter the inspection result, EBA will highlight those which is or are out of the reference range. And then we will mark this inspection as failed in its status and put this associate item into different warehouse. For example, like return warehouse in Acumatica. Okay. And after that, we can create the corrective action right here, which connect to QDMS, which is our quality risk and compliance management system. And the system will take us to the corrective action module and create a corrective action in order to deal with this failed item in our PO. For example, like return the item or evaluate or contact the vendor or supplier about this failed material, let's say. Okay. And yep, so you can find our product like EBA will help you on the QC process or QC activities, and QDMS is helped you on the QA quality assurance activities. And also they both integrate with Acumatica, so we can capture the data, for example, like the item information or the PO information from Acumatica. And it's come to the end of my demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam and Christian and Kevin specifically. So I hope this gave you a little bit different point of view on how we can go to the market in combining the solutions. Like Christian mentioned this before, I agree with him there. So it's a great additional functionality, additional offering that you can provide to your existing customers or to your prospects and future customers you are working on there. Like I said, as always, we will share the recording with you after it's converted. It takes a little bit of time, so you will likely get it tomorrow, I think, for everybody who joined here. And so we are a little bit early, so that's fine. Are there any questions that you might have? Please put it in the Q&A box. Like I said, we still have some time, so we're still able to maybe answer some questions. If not, then I'm giving you 10 minutes back of the day and hope you all have a good weekend. And I hope I see most of you in Da Nang next week for our Asia Partner Conference. So thank you very much again, Kevin and Sam, for joining us in the webinar here today. And
thank you.
Have a good weekend all. Thank you.